So today I am going to try and talk to you about something a little bit scientific, a little bit complicated. So one of the things that I'm going to share with you today is a mind hack based on the information I'm going to share with you. So anyway, before I continue, if you've not seen me before, I am Mel. Hello, and I am a rapid transformational therapist, and I help women who feel powerless to food cravings or food thoughts by reprogramming their subconscious mind to remove any negative or bad habits so that they can take back their lives and stop living a double life. What inspired this video today was because I'm part of a group where there's a lot of struggling women and men in there who find it really difficult to get away from their really bad, unhealthy, self-sabotaging eating habits. And what I see consistently happening in these feeds is, and quite rightly, is a lot of self-pity, because it is tough when you're caught in that cyclone of trying to get better, trying to be like a normal person, like a normal eater, and every day it's just a struggle. I can understand. I was there for 22 years, so I understand the struggle. I was actually in that boat for, like I said, for 22 years, kind of stuck in almost like this stuck record. And the truth is, most of us are living like as if we're on a stuck record. And what I mean is, everything we do is a habit, including how we eat. Okay, so just sit on that statement for a moment. You're like thinking, what? Because we're not naturally driven to eat healthily. We're not naturally driven to eat junk food. We're actually only eating the way that we've been taught from a very young age, even from the moment we were born. Because how does that explain when you've got people like, let's say in China, where I used to live or grew up in the Philippines, they're quite happy to eat chicken feet or half-grown chick in an embryo. And even in Australia, like witchetty grubbit, which is like big fat worms, like maggot things, and they think that's great. I mean, I don't know about you, but that completely grosses me out. However, having said that, I've got fond memories when I was very young. So instead of us in the Western side eating sweets, when you got your pocket money, I used to run down with my little skinny legs in the Philippines, going to buy a half-grown chick in an egg, because that used to be my favorite. Now, would I eat it? Hell no. It sounds absolutely gross. I couldn't even dream of eating anything like that, because I formed a new habit. And that's the key as well, which I will talk about again in a moment. So even, let's take this habit another notch. You see, everything, like, what I said, everything? Well, I'm meaning everything is a habit. Even the way that we see things, because our minds cannot cope with the amount of information that is going on at the same time. And I know there's like medical conditions where some people really can't cope with the overstimulant that's going around in the world. But in order for us to be able to, I'm getting really scientific here, when we go about our day, we only see things from our memories, what we have built through years and years and years and years of learning what things are. Even looking at this iPhone now, it's not that there's an image there, only because there's millions and millions of things going in our brain that kind of like puts the picture together so that my mind doesn't have to make an effort to try and learn how to look at a shape anymore. And you'll find, like a newborn baby, they'll find really difficulty to adjust in the depth because they haven't learned to see. Even though their eyesight is fine, having the eyesight that we have now is learned and is a habit through thousands and millions of information that is going in our brain. So what are you talking about, Mel? What's this got to do with eating? What's this got to do? It has to do with everything, because if you think about, we are relying on habits to live, and we're relying on the things that we've translated in our brain to be able to see. So if you want to do like a test, this is how our minds cannot cope with all the information. If you look at the back of the room, a wall, and concentrate on a spot, and then put your hand in front of you, and then look at the back of the room and wiggle your fingers. You can, and then move your fingers back and back, keep looking at the back of the room. Your fingers, it's like transparent, because your eyes cannot cope with looking at the back of the room and looking at your hands at the same time. So when our brains are like this, it's kind of like processing millions and millions of data at the same time to give you the information that you want. When you're constantly saying negative things to yourself, this is how you will perceive your world. What inspired me to do this video today is because in these groups, and I was very much part of that boat for 22 years, and the reason why it was so hard for me to stop this never-ending cycle of unhealthy relationship to food is because of the amount of negative thoughts that was going in my head. And one of those things is thinking that I was fat. So if I'm thinking that I'm fat and looking in the mirror that I'm fat, my mind will adjust and make you look fat, and you won't be able to differentiate what is real and what is not, because this is the data that's going in your mind. Your mind cannot see a thing. It relies on all the information that you're telling it, and all of that is the words that you say to yourself and the pictures that you send into it. So if you continuously have these negative things going in your head and false images, your mind is going to believe that is true, and it's going to feel almost like the Matrix. You don't know what is real and what isn't. And unfortunately, many of the women that I've been helping feel powerless when it comes to food cravings and food thoughts. But the good news is science has revealed, and it's revealed a long time ago, but it's only more and more now that science is catching up with a lot of the theories, and people are being more aware of it now, that we have the power to change it. And it's even so simple. So the thing is, habits have taken a lifetime to build, and almost like we're on autopilot. We're only like walking around as a result of all these habits that we've learned through the years. It doesn't mean we can't change it, but it does mean it requires us to go against what feels natural. Because so when you try to stop anything that is unhealthy or not good for you, it is going to feel uncomfortable, even if it is for your benefit, because all this time your brain and your mind or your brain has believed this is what life is about. This is you surviving, and then suddenly you're changing something. It's thinking, hang on a sec, what you're doing? I've been fine all this time, even though you know you're not fine. You know you can't handle living this double life anymore, because your brain and your mind cannot really see what is happening outside. All it knows is that, hey, this habit's been happening for so many years. Why change a good thing? But you know it's not right. So the way that we can do that is try to make what is unfamiliar familiar by enforcing things like not listening to those habits, like going for cake when you're feeling stressed. You know that's because it's a habit. You've been doing that for like God knows how many years. The brain thinks that's right, but you know it's not going to solve anything. You know it's going to go down the pan shortly. You know you're going to beat yourself up. You know you're going to hate yourself. So the more often, and that's the magic, the more often you stop reacting to these things that you want to get rid of, the magic of neuroplasticity, which is the little connections in your subconscious mind, the more often that you practice something, you are then able to build a new habit, which is how I eventually stopped my eating disorder for all those years, is because I understood every time I had the urge to go for the things that would eventually make me sick, I would say, hang on. I actually called it my monkey brain. I actually thought, hang on, that's not me. That's because I've formed a habit. I'm going to make a new habit. I'm not going to react to it. And I tell you what, it is. I'm not going to lie to you. It is going to be probably the first few times, maybe, I don't know how many times, it's going to be tough to stop it, because it's really difficult for somebody who has challenges with eating to make this sound like reasonable. It sounds like so far-fetched. It sounds like, really, if it was that easy, I would have done it. It's like someone who's alcoholic. You know, they've been drinking alcohol for so long, and if they stop drinking alcohol one time, you wouldn't expect them to be like teetotaled straight away, would you? You wouldn't. It just doesn't make sense. A drug addict to stop drugs for one day and decide, hey, I'm living a life now. It doesn't work that way. It really is about creating it again and again and doing it again and again and again and again and again. And what happens is you get two things. One, you create a new habit and you take your life back. And the other, the old habit of going for those cakes, the binge foods and all those connections in your brain would eventually just die off. And then you're just left with you. And I'm not saying it's not going to like, having freedom from food and this torment of food is going to solve every problem in your life. But not having food as a problem in your life is going to make it easier for you to face all the other challenges in your life. And I hope that you've taken something away from it, something useful. And if you want to know anything else, or if you're interested in maybe taking a shortcut so that I can drill into your subconscious mind to remove all those unpleasant habits that you form, just send me a PM and I'd be happy to discuss what RTT can do for you. And tell me your dreams. What is it that you really want to achieve now? What is if I had a magic wand, what would that be? You tell me. I hope you have a fantastic day. Until next time.